Hello, welcome to the show. And today we're going to be discussing the challenges faced right now in the media production environment, taking into consideration the demands of combining on-premise and cloud solutions, the continued rise of remote production, and of course the increased security risk this all brings.
And who better to have that discussion with than Dominic Harland from GBLabs. Welcome to the show, Dominic. Now, almost everyone's workflow has been disrupted in recent times. So let's start with asking how we can bring all of these solutions together to simplify our storage technologies.
Yeah, I mean, disrupted is possibly understatement. Obviously, the last pretty much the whole year has been incredibly varied and has really thrown people in at the deep end. I mean, from my point of view, we've engaged with a lot of our partners and end users and sort of got a fair understanding of some of the troubles that people have seen. And I think that at the moment, people have really been in what I would call covering off the crisis stage of, they have work in the pipeline, there's things that they need to do and that they have to get that work finished. And really there's been a myriad of either grabbing USB drives, taking them home, to perhaps trying to share central storage over VPN or via local connections. And you can get a level of work done with that. But I think where a lot of people have sort of migrated to in the last month or so is that really they're looking at, okay, so we've now got some more projects which we're pitching for, and although we kind of managed to complete the projects during the early period of COVID, we absolutely don't want to repeat that. And there's many reasons for that, really. I mean, like you've said, the security aspects are entertaining, I think is a word that I might use. That, back in 2019, we were all about security. We were very good with knowing who was accessing our footage, where it was, and all the rest of it. And, roll forward to March, April 2020, and it's totally acceptable to buy a USB drive, put it in a cab and ship it to someone's home address. And it's quite a reversal of sort of what's acceptable. And, that had to be done to get work out of the door. But people want something better, in the same way that, getting that work out to people at home, it allows them to do a job. But actually, what do you do when that data returns? Because you now have effectively your original somewhere on your central storage. You have a number of all these remote workers' hard drives returning to you. And, how do you know that they haven't renamed a folder or deleted some footage by accident or whatever it is? So it makes it very difficult to manage that data and merge it back into one true set. So it's created a lot of challenges, which I guess ironically are not dissimilar to the challenges we had 15, 20 years ago before central storage of some description stepped in. So yes, an interesting time, and one that I think people are poised, well aware of the letdowns or the gotchas, if you like, of today's remote working, because it's been thrust upon us very quickly. And they want to solve these challenges. We have to solve these challenges because it realistically looks as if we're going to be for the foreseeable future in this kind of workflow. Not to mention that actually a lot of workers wanted to do remote working before this whole thing started. So there is a real drive to try and get the cloud, get the on-prem. Do you use one, do you use the other? I mean, imagine if you could use them together and throw in the mix remote working. And it is a real mixed bag up until now, I think. And that's something which we'd been thinking about for some time. And I guess that we were in a pretty fortunate position to get this feedback and have a look at this. And we also have a lot of technology which allowed us to solve a lot of the problems, and we have done in a product which we call Unify Hub.
So we've heard a little bit about Unify in the press and most recently at the Virtual Broadcast Asia event. and we've got a short video. So let's play that now, and then we can chat a little bit afterwards.
Remote working is now the key to productivity, and the need to keep your post-production team serviced with assets has created some difficult methods of media distribution, sacrificing efficiency of time, compromising security, and creating confusion. So how can you get the control and quality of service of the in-office situation with the flexibility of remote resources? Unify Hub brings managed access for your team members both in and outside the office, making the production team feel like they are seamlessly collaborative. The Unify Hub software is designed to bring an end to multiple logins and duplication of data. Unify Hub creates managed access and visibility to many cloud storage services through a single sign-on. Data and content accessed by any users is cached to a central storage, meaning faster access for all users. Cloud services can be leveraged more efficiently as Unify manages data so that it can be accessible on central storage and negating the need for much of the associated cloud storage services. Key to remote working is the Unify Hub virtual workspace capability. Sharing large amounts of unmanaged content remotely consumes unnecessary home and office bandwidth. Unify Hub allows relevant content to be assigned to remote users quickly and easily. Users save time not searching through complex file structures and can access content more efficiently. Unify Hub is available as a turnkey appliance that's going to simplify, revolutionize, and ultimately unify all aspects of media.
Okay, so Dominic, everyone's talking about remote working, and it's a bit of a buzzword, I realise, but we work in a global industry, and we're all aware that remote working is what many people are having to do, and it's been accelerated, of course, by the current COVID situation. It's important that technologists work to finding solutions to make that easier for people. So can you explain how Unify Hub can help do this?
Yeah, remote working is, like you say, clearly something that is in demand now, and I think for the foreseeable future. And really, I think the approach we've taken is that almost every style of remote working involves making a copy of your data in some way or another, whether that is on a separate hard drive, or whether you download and then replicate manually one way or the other to and from the office. But the problem is that you have effectively two copies of your data. What Unify Hub addresses is it gives people the performance that they're used to if they were on-prem, but it only allows them to visually see and work with one true copy of their data. So in effect, Unify Hub is keeping continually in sync your central storage and your remote workers without any intervention of having to do manual replications or other bits and pieces. And what that does is it gives them the experience of being in the office or working on the on-prem storage and all the workflows that they've been used to over the last however many years, but allows them to do that from home. And it leverages around the S3 protocol, and then there's some cleverness in the small piece of client software which is installed, and then it holds everything in sync. And the best news is that Unify Hub is, I guess, our first product which is non-storage. So actually this will work with any of people's existing infrastructure, which is really nice.
So that's it. That's very good. But let's talk a little bit of technology. You say there that you're utilising an S3 endpoint. Can we rewind a bit and get an explanation of what the S3 protocol it gives to users?
Yeah, I guess a lot of people with S3, Amazon have a storage product which is a cloud storage product which they call S3, and in simple terms, they effectively realised that nobody could there was no real standard in connecting to cloud storages. So they developed the S3 protocol to go with their S3 storage. And they effectively open sourced the protocol, for want of a better word. And this sort of was a key to unlocking cloud storage and cloud services as a way of transferring data. It's based around the HTTP instruction set as well, but so that it enabled everybody to be able to connect freely and easily to a variety of cloud systems and storages. And an analogy I've used in the past is that all of our protocols which we typically use on-prem are great when you have a clear, good communication method, such as a network or a fiber channel, for example. And, that way of communicating or talking is a different style of communicating if you had a very long distance, slightly crackly line as well. And effectively, the way that I think about it is that S3 is the language, if you like, that is designed for those longer distance, slightly more crackly communications. And that is far more suitable for remote workers because typically they're going through a local home internet provider. There may be several hops through countries or states or wherever you are. That will then go back to whatever the presumably lease line is into the main office. And, there is significant latency and other issues with those connections. So it's unsurprising that when people simply set up a VPN and they just try to connect to their storage in a similar way that they were in the office, that they have timeouts and problems and it really doesn't work as expected.
So one of the key features of Unify is a single sign-on. Can you briefly talk through how you achieve this?
Yeah, we realised quite early on that one of the challenges with the way people are being forced to work right now is it really comes back to the security element, actually, that up until 2020, if you like, people would perhaps even sign in to get into the building. They would certainly sit at a workstation. They would put a username and password into the workstation, and they would be presented with or have to log into certain areas of data which they were allowed to. And, at that point in time, they may well have been using some sort of cloud services or cloud storage, but that was probably connected to by a systems administrator or would have had a dedicated link from the office or some machine that connected to it. Now, when you remove those workers from the office, an easy way to get them to connect to those services is literally hand them the username and password or the keys to those cloud services. And because the majority of those operate on a key system rather than a username and password system, they actually are completely different. And the levels of authorization are probably different as well. So you've now sort of got a separation from all of the security that you've developed in-house over the last however many years in order for people to homework in conjunction with any cloud services that they might have previously been working with whilst they're in the office. So what Unify does is it effectively handles that overlap, if you like. So as far as the end users and the home workers go, they would still use their set of credentials which is set up for their storage and the cloud services and all the rest of it. And then their access to the clouds would be determined from the Unify Hub, so that they don't have to have a username and a password for this product or that product or this service or that cloud or all the rest of it. So it makes administrative tasks so much easier. And it also, more importantly, means that you can give that extra level of security by really just allowing the people that you want to see the types of things that they're allowed to see without having to hand over the keys to be able to see perhaps more than you want them to.
Yeah, it gives you the administrator kind of better control over the users and the rest of it. So what about the future? Where do you guys see storage technology evolving?
It's a good question. I think that in the long term, I think the the storage technology is still going to evolve in a pattern previously. I think that we've certainly got an interrupt at the moment in terms of how people want to access the footage. The storage. I think for me, I still believe that there needs to be a central storage of some description. I think the shift is that it doesn't necessarily matter where that central storage is. And if you can truly make that central storage engage with cloud, on-prem and remote workers, that is the holy grail, if you like. That is what we have to think about as central storage now. Because I think people quite often think central storage on-prem storage. But actually, if you could take that ethos of providing central storage as we did 15 years ago to an on-prem, if we can now imagine that what we're doing is providing central storage to wherever somebody is within your organization, that's what we have to do. That's the mind shift. But actually what we're ultimately achieving is very similar. But that is exactly what Unify Hub delivers today for the media industry.
So finally, just before we let you go, as an industry that's really all about the people behind the technology, tell us something a little bit about yourself that the industry wouldn't know, and maybe people even within GBLabs wouldn't know.
I love questions like this. I think that probably something that a lot of people aren't aware of, which may or may not be interesting, I don't know. But I'm actually quite an avid fan of classic cars. I can be found whenever I have a spare moment, which there's not that many with business, children, and all the rest of life's trappings. But I can be found in the garage tinkering with a spanner on a 1957 Land Rover Series 1 or a 1972 Alpha Spider. So they are obviously non-runners, but they are my passion, and I love doing bits and pieces. And eventually, one day, they will be back on the road.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Two of my favourites. You have to come and help me with my Land Rover one day. Thanks for watching today, and thanks to Dominic from GBLabs for coming on the show. To see all our video interviews and kit reviews, then head over to kitplus.tv, which is brought to you with the support of Media Proxy. And you can find out more about them at mediaproxy.com. Thank you.